I've as always screwed around with this YouTube stuff for a while this morning, trying to get things to work right. Hello, everybody. It's Alex. I'm back for another short video on things that are going on. Wanted to talk a little bit about today. I want to talk a little bit today about the fishing, the bass fishing, primarily in Lake Fork. Also, we're getting some, finally getting back to some sand bass fishing, and of course, the catfish and brim are getting after it pretty good. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about these uh, ratings that come out on lakes that I think are quite interesting. One came out this week that was the supposedly the 30 best fishing lakes in Texas, which I found to be quite interesting because some of the lakes that they mentioned when I did my research on them were almost dry. So I'm not really sure where they're getting their info, but I don't think they're from here. I'm not sure what they're going by. They might be going by historical information, but things are changing as they always do. So anyway, let's talk about some fishing here. And the last interesting thing about what's going on here in East Texas right now is the weather has been really unseasonal. I mean, right now I'm hot and sweaty, and it's humid, and mostly cloudy. Every now and then you hear a little rumble of thumber, uh, and you get a few raindrops on you, depending on where you are. They're like little showers that just come down. If you happen to be under them, good for you, and good for your garden. Um, Lake Fork came up like 3/4 of an inch in the last few days, but only part of the lake is getting water brought to it, and luckily it was the right place where the water fell. And so at the north end of the lake, if we get enough rain up north of us, that's where our big feeder creeks are that actually raise the water. Our recharge zone is all north of Lake Fork, and so we're always, even if we don't get rain right here, we're always happy to see it north of the lake because that's what brings us up. And we're about a little bit over 2 feet low right now, which is not unusual at all this time of year. Most of us that have spent enough time out here feel like if it's 3 feet or less, that we're in pretty good shape. It gets a little dicey out there with tree stumps and things like that, but you have to learn to deal with that on any man-made lake, really. Unless you're lucky enough to have one that's spring fed. We do have a few of those out here, but not Lake Fork. Um, so the weather for July has been extraordinary so far. Now it is only the first week really of the month, but still June was kind of interesting as well, where we had a little more rain, a little more cloud cover, a lot more wind than we're accustomed to this time of year. So that was kind of interesting. The other thing that we're seeing is that our water level is staying very stable, and so what that's doing is that's creating a fantastic um, fishery. When the water level is stable, then everybody kind of gets into their little zone, and they get to work on just being fish and not having to adjust to water levels and where the water comes down, and all of a sudden the drop off is right there at the edge of the water instead of having some shallower water to work up on to chase bait and things like that. So it does change things, and it brings the uh, plants and the brush closer to the edge of the water, which the little animals that live in there that happen to get into the water or close to the water become food as well. All kinds of things happen with that water level. It's very important. So far this year, we've stayed less than 3 feet low for the most part. We're right at 3 feet At one point, maybe a tiny bit more than 3 feet. It came up about a foot, and it's been sort of staying at that level for the last couple of months. And that's super important, um, because it allows the, the duckweed and the coontail and the all the reeds to grow and all the plant life to grow. That stable water level allows things to get kind of rooted into place and grow, and that of course is where the bait fish go, and the crawfish and the little turtles and all those things. They live in that grass. So what's happened right now is if you get out there at the right time of day on the right day, um, you can actually have a pretty good bite right around the edges of that grass. So if you're bass fishing, well, the other day I went out and I went bass fishing primarily, but I wasn't catching any bass. So I put on a dock knocker, and which is just a little bead head, and I started fishing out in front of the grass and the lilies, and I started catching all kinds of fish. I was catching bass, crappie, catfish, an occasional big brim would get on that bait, and so it was really a lot of fun. I had a great time. I think there's a video out right now, if you can find it, on my channel of that day. Go out the next day, same area, and don't get a bite. And that's typical. That's kind of a typical summertime pattern. You know, you don't always know what makes them active or makes them want to feed, but there seems to be something, and a lot of it has to do with just daily patterns. So there should be an early bite, there should be a midday bite, and there should be an evening bite. The evening bite's pretty consistent. It's going to last the last couple of hours of daylight into the first hour of sunset, after sunset. That's kind of typical of what I experience on this lake in the evening. The morning bite is probably about a 20-30 minute bite, maybe you can get an hour out of it, but about 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, it shuts off. It's done. And now I'm talking about primarily for bass, and I'm talking about for topwater and, an active moving bait, which is what you're going to want to fish that time of the day. The midday bite is completely different. It really involves different species of fish. And so you'll find bass. We know where to find them. Everybody's got a front-facing sonar except Alex, and they all look down there and they see where all the fish are on the brush piles and all that. Well, hell, I could have told them that years ago. We were catching fish on natural brush piles in the middle of the day. That's when we would go out, actually, the hottest part of the day. We'd fish those deep piles and we'd catch tons of big fish. So that's always been a consistent pattern. That's a normal pattern. So get that, that's sort of where they're at. So you have to kind of decide what you want to fish with. If the sun's out, the topwater is probably not your best choice, because the fish are going to they're sensitive to that direct sunlight coming down to the water. So you want to fish something that's going to have a little swim to it, something that looks like a little fish or a little bug or something like that, but it needs to sink. And I like mine to sink kind of slow, and they just see it and they react to it. And some days I stay real busy catching fish, and some days I don't. So I know that's kind of sounds like a random fishing report, but it is what it is. There's not a hard where I can tell you to go out at a certain time and throw a certain bait and catch fish. Now I will tell you, I went out last evening and I didn't leave until 4:30, and I was back at the house at 7:30, so I was out about 3 hours, and for about 2 of those hours I was having a great time with bigger fish on top water. Why was that? Well, we had cloud cover, we had some kind of floating thunderstorms and rain coming down, and something triggered those fish. It probably had to do with the barometric pressure. I'm not 100% sure, but something brought those fish real active in the shallower water, and I was catching them on a Moorish mouse, which I know you trout fishermen are kind of going, Moorish mouse? That's a brown trout bait. Yeah, it works great for bass too. I love my Moorish mouse. So a bigger bait, and I was getting bigger fish. In fact, I could watch the smaller fish come out and they'd bump it, hit it with their tail. Smaller bass under 12 inches, and they weren't really attacking it, but the bigger bass were attacking it with gusto, I should say. And so I had a great, that's a out. It lasts about 10 seconds, hopefully. And so right now it's just a typical summertime pattern for all of our freshwater, flatwater fish, warm water fish, and have fun, because it's really a fun time of year to fish. Now I keep a little 5-weight rigged up in my boat with a little woolly booger that's got a little red tip on the bottom of it. And if I get really bored and I see a brim bed, I'll just whip that guy out and start catching those little brim. And man, it is so much fun. It gives you something to do. You catch some fish. At least you don't go home thinking that you haven't caught any. And here's the other thing. If you like eating them, they're fantastic to catch and eat. I just don't like fooling with cleaning them. I just have fun catching them. So there's plenty of opportunities to catch fish in Lake Fork right now, and pretty much all of our warm water lakes here in Texas. So let's talk about another thing that I have seen lately a couple of times. Is why this is bringing my attention to it, and that is these articles that I'm seeing that are the top 30. One of them was top 30 national lakes. Another one was top 30 Texas lakes. Maybe they're doing that everywhere. I'm not sure where they come up with their criteria to judge whether a lake is number 1 or number 30. I have no idea. So if you're a professional bass fisher person and you're fishing BASS or whatever they are, I don't even know anymore. All these circuits that they've got, and you're traveling around the country and you're fishing these different lakes. Of course, you're going to have an opinion. You're going to have a favorite lake. You're going to have lakes that you consistently do well on and lakes that you don't. That's just fishing. And so I'm not sure if that top 30 BASS lakes is something that I would pay much attention to, at not being a professional fisherman or professional tournament fisherman. The one that I'm more interested in is the top 30 regional lakes, the 30 Texas lakes, which I thought was interesting. And I'm still not exactly sure how you come up with that. I mean, if you're talking about just a specific species of fish like bass or catfish or crappie or something like that, then I can understand how you could rate it for that particular species of fish. But overall, there's a lot of things that make a lake a good fishing lake, or maybe not so good fishing lake. There's things like water clarity. Some of our lakes are just muddy. We've got lakes that just, when the wind blows just a little bit, they just turn into big cloudy mud puddles, and they're hard to fish. They're hard to catch fish in, and it's not beautiful. Some of our lakes seem to produce more sport fish than other lakes. Some lakes produce more table fare fish than other lakes. So I get that too. But again, these are just personal preferences for people. And so when you see this list, and this is my point I'm trying to make, when you see this list that says this lake is number 1 and this lake is number 30, uh, don't pay too much attention to the rating. The rating doesn't matter. There's lakes that you can go to here that may not be on that list, but they might have a beautiful state park, really nice facilities, and nice, clean, clear water that you want to swim in. Other lakes, like let's just take Lake Fork for instance, it isn't a big skiing lake because it's full of tree stumps. Not a good place to go out and have a dump while you're skiing. Not even a particularly great lake to have a jet ski on for the same reason. We've seen some guys do it and they get a little careless and they end up flying off that jet ski. I don't care about falling off the jet ski. I care about what I land on when I hit the water. That's what you got to worry about in Lake Fork, because there's stumps everywhere right out in the middle of where you don't expect to see them. So it's not, so when you're rating it, this may not be the best place. I used to go down to Lake Whitney, up to the upper end of Lake Whitney where the Brazos River came into it with friends, and we would jet ski and fish. We'd catch fish, we'd jet ski, run up and down that river. We had a great time. We never worried about any of that stuff. The beautiful water, beautiful scenery, cliffs everywhere. It was just a great place to be. I would have rated that really high for that type of thing. But as far as just overall rating on lakes, it's really personal preference. And also, is it convenient? You know, do you have to drive 6 hours to get there? Um, so take those things with a grain of salt. Don't let them help, force your decision on where you're going to take your family. I say you just go try them all. And then that's how I'm sorry I'm doing all this stuff on my face, but I'm sweating a little bit. It's a little humid out here today. Um, Enjoy your time on the water. It's already July, and in a couple of months, just think about that. You have July and August. August, it's probably going to get really hot. We haven't had a lot of heat here yet. Out here at Lake Fork, I don't think we've hit 100 degrees, which is shocking, but I don't think we have. In fact, in the last 2 or 3 summers, we haven't really hit 100 degrees for long, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then it's over with. So hopefully that'll happen again this year. Enjoy your time on the water. Enjoy your time with your family and on the lake. Please leave a message. Tell me exactly how, what's your favorite lake and why? Is it because of the fishing? Is it because you can go out and water ski? Is it because it has a great state park, great facilities? Maybe it's just close to home. If you live in one of the big metroplexes, you can almost always get to some body of water pretty quick, particularly North Texas and Dallas. Of course, Houston, you have the ocean. That was, I meant to talk about this. When they're rating Texas lakes, they seem to constantly are rating Texas fishing. They're constantly leaving out the coast. And the coast can be a pretty awesome place to go. So don't forget about that trip. That's a good trip. Anyway, looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching and listening, and thanks for all the new people that have signed up with us, subscribed to us. We really do appreciate it. We're small, but we're building our channel slowly. We're trying to have a good time and give some good information. I would love your input on what it is you would like to hear about. I've got some fly tying videos that I'm editing right now. I've got some fishing videos that I'm editing too. So I'll try and get videos out quicker than I have been. I have a hard time motivating myself in the summertime. I just really want to go fish. It's all I want to do. But at any rate, I look forward to hearing back from you. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help us grow, and we really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. God bless.